Hello kids, here again today to learn a little bit of science. In this lesson, we are going to learn how to classify living things into 5 kingdoms. The 5 living things kingdoms, okay? So to classify living things, we are going to attend to 2 main characteristics. One, the nucleus of the cells, and second, the nutrition of those living things, okay? Remember that all living things are made of cells, okay? Cells are the smallest unit of life. And as we learned on the previous lesson, all the cells have different organelles inside the cytoplasm, okay? The most important organ in cells is the nucleus. Remember that nucleus controls the functions in the cells. It's the most important organ, okay? In the most developed cells, the ones that are more complex, okay, they have a membrane around the nucleus. Remember that outside the cell, we had a membrane that protects the cell, that separates it from the external environment, and also it gives shape and it gives structure to cells. Well, these defined nucleus cells are cells that have a membrane wrapping surrounding the nucleus, okay? The nucleus is wrapped by a membrane. Okay, these are the ones that have a defined nucleus. On the other hand, we have the cells that have a nucleus inside that controls the functions, but it has no membrane. It has a no-nucleus membrane. There is no membrane surrounding the nucleus, okay? These cells are simpler than these ones. They are less complex, okay? So let's see the classification with the with the defined nucleus living things. In the defined nucleus living things, we have to attend to the function of nutrition, okay? We can find organisms that can make their own food through a process called photosynthesis, okay? Which are the living things that can make their own food and that have a defined nucleus? The algae and the plants, okay? Algae and plants, okay? But there is another extra group in the group of the defined nucleus living things. That is the ones that eat other living things. They can't transform inorganic matter into organic matter like these ones do. They need to eat other living things. And in here, there are 3 kinds of living things. Animals, fungi, and protista, okay? Protista includes protozoo. Do you remember when we talk about amoebas in parameciums? These tiny unicellular living things that are really, really small? Well, but look, I circled this group in purple, the same as this group, because algae and protozoos and protista belong to the same group. So in here, with a defined nucleus, really we've got 4 kingdoms, okay? Plants kingdom, animal kingdom, fungi kingdom, and algae and protista kingdom, okay? They are part of the same kingdom, but I divided them because some of them make their own food, like algae, and some of them they eat all the living things like protozoos, okay? But both of them are part of the same kingdom, okay? And then also we have the non-defined nucleus kingdom. And in here we find bacteria. Remember that bacteria doesn't mean one. Bacteria means a lot of. 1 bacterium, 2 or 3 or a million bacteria. In bacteria, they are a little bit peculiar, a little bit special. Why? Because we can find 2 kind of different bacteria. The ones that make their own food, like algae and like plants, and the ones that need to eat all the living things. For example, the ones that eat protozoos, that are the bacilli, So the cyanobacteria, for example, are bacteria that can make their own food, and the bacilli are the bacteria that need to eat other living things. Is that clear? So, quickly, define nucleus, non-defined nucleus. Defines nucleus that make their own food, algae and plants. Defines nucleus that eat other living things, animals, protista that is part of the algae kingdom, and fungi. Non-defined kingdom, bacteria. This is the most popular classification, but you can think of new ways to classify living things. For example, depending on reproduction, if they are born from eggs, or if they are born from seeds, or if they are born from the mother's womb, if they're inside the womb of a mother, or maybe we can't classify them depending not only if they eat other living things, but also which kind of living things do they eat. Do they eat plants? Do they eat meat? Do they eat both? So what is your challenge? Copy this, my map, and complete it, giving examples of every kind of living things, giving examples of the 5 living things kingdom, but also you can complete it looking for new classifications depending on what they eat or depending on how they reproduce. I hope you face the challenge, and of course I'm sure that you will get it. Bye bye.